I think the poet or the filmmaker or the musician, the poet must not avert his eyes. You must not avert your eyes. This is what is coming at us.
Thanks for dropping in. Best saddle up and fasten your britches, because today we're going to review Antichrist again.
Oh no.
We're joined today by Baby Beard Media again, those lovable surf boys you may remember from our previous episode, also Antichrist. Introduce yourselves, Baby Bearders.
Yes, hello. My name is Sean.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Chris.
We are Baby Beard, the lovable Australian goofs who have two podcasts. One where we go through Futurama episode by episode in a bloody gauntlet battle for your entertainment. And
The Imaginauts, a comedy show about useless information where we pilot our interdimensional craft to parts unknown.
And now we're ready to talk about a movie. It was a movie.
It's definitely a movie.
Crazy claims by Will Smith that this was in fact a film. This time turned out to be true. But we're very glad to have you guys back, and today we're going to we're going to all head on down to the saloon to be mildly assaulted by Wild Wild West. God bless Microsoft Spell Check for alerting me to the repeated word there. But for once you cannot save it, Spell Check.
Oh, also, I'm Paul Goodman.
Oh, alright, we'll put that in earlier. I'm Paul Salt.
No, it's fine there.
Yes, it's the 1999 steampunk western thing starring Will Smith, who turned down The Matrix to appear in this, the worst decision of his career, according to Smith. And Kevin Kline, which is easily in the top 5 worst decisions of his career. Directed by Barry Sonnencat, who, when pushed for comment, responded by chasing something he thought he saw under a desk. The film was produced by John Peters. Now, Kevin Smith tells a very funny anecdote about being involved in the writing of a Superman script. Have any of you heard this?
Superman 5,
yes.
yeah. He had 3 requests.
Yeah, the Superman Lives script, yes. Peters had 2 requests. One, that he not wear a cape, because did he use the word faggy?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
I think he did,
Sounds
which
like
is
a
very
90s
upsetting.
word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like a 90s producer.
He also requested that Superman not fly.
That's it. He'd not fly, and that he fight a giant robot spider. That project fell apart, though Peters still got to produce 2 terrible Superman movies later on, Superman Returns and Man of Steel. And so the spider ended up in Wild Wild West. But what's brilliant about this, and what I never heard before, is that Peters was also involved in adapting Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, and Gaiman says he also tried to put a giant robot spider in that.
You know, it's his vision. He had a dream one night, and he was like, this is going to be my legacy to the cinematic world.
This is my Jaws.
Yes, that's right.
I like that he keeps coming up to like big production companies and be like, okay, it starts with a spider. God damn it, for the last time, no.
He's a producer, right? He clearly thinks this is a money idea.
That's right.
Wasn't it just?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, you know what though, guys? It's seamless, isn't it?
It actually kind of fits in this movie.
But when you look at Loveless, his whole logo is a spider, so that was convenient.
What's great about it is that Loveless does appear to be as crazy as John Peters. So that when he builds a giant mechanical spider, it's less inexplicable, because it's like, yeah, that's something he'd fucking do. Wild Wild West also has a score by Elmer fucking Bernstein. Don't know the name? Well, perhaps you recognize this. From The Magnificent Seven, or this. From The Great Escape, and now this. From Wild Wild West.
Wild Wilds.
Someone involved in To Kill a Mockingbird worked on Wild Wild West.
You can tell.
That absolutely boggles my mind.
Like, I remembered this as like, oh great, here's the theme. I loved this when I was a kid. Da 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 dun dun dun. And it's that over and over again.
Yes, with a bit of funk.
Yes,
because there's a black guy in the film.
Oh. Oh! I get it now.
Yes, that's right.
Wait.
Thanks, 90s. No three-man this week, though it's strike 2 for both Will Smith and Salma Hayek. We will also at some point definitely review Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and the Too Bad You Will Die chick is in this playing Munitia.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Sindel. Oh, God. Okay. The Wiki Wiki Wild Wild West was Ricky reviled by critics.
I mean, look, yep.
Simple ones are the best.
Nathan Rabin over at the AV Club. In the tradition of such unwatchable blockbusters as Armageddon, Con Air, and Godzilla comes Wild Wild West, yet another cinematic spruce goose that illustrates how bigger is rarely better. Now, I object to one very specific part of that review, sir.
Con Air.
Yeah. You leave Con Air alone, sir.
Godzilla. Matthew Broderick's action status just skyrocketed after that film.
Yeah. It was already going so fast, though.
I'm not saying it's a great film, but it's definitely watchable.
Many things
Well,
are.
we will probably get round to it.
Many things are watchable.
Yeah.
Jay Bowyer for the Orlando Sentinel said Wild Wild West is this year's Godzilla, Avengers, and Spice World all rolled into one. Now I take objection to one very specific part of that review, sir. You leave Spice World
Spice
alone.
World.
Yeah. It was a disappointment financially, but it does have some supporters. Mrs. J.E. Donkin at Amazon said, I loved this film. It's supposed to be escapist entertainment, and it does this in glorious Technicolor. Mrs. Donkin is a time traveler from the 60s.
That's right. Well, the film's in colour. Wow.
When did this happen?
Setting the bar quite
Clearly
low.
gone
Look at all of these
outside to
colours.
see, like, I don't know, flowers.
Yes.
She's living in Pleasantville. It's light-hearted, easy, relaxing, and fun. Critics can put on their dark and edgy imports and leave this one to those of us who are more demanding real life. You see, that's the problem. It's just we critics just have it too easy.
Yeah, that's right. We've got nothing going on. The thing I take issue with that review is the word relaxing. Nothing about this movie is relaxing.
Oh, it's stressful.
So
So
soothing.
stressful.
Soothing.
Oh, Christ. Bad Boy 11 at IMDb says, tremendous movie with a tremendous Will Smith. This movie is a must-see for anyone with any taste at all. If you don't like this movie, you must be the most boring, unimaginable, unintelligent person there on this earth.
The
Wild
worst
Wild West
kind
was
of Will
what-
Smith.
Is that
Wild
reviewed
Wild
by
West was
Donald
100
Trump?
times better than Star Wars and is the movie of the year.
Which Star Wars, though?
Yeah.
Oh, this is 99, so
All
is he
of
referring to
Star
the
Well,
Phantom Menace?
I mean, obviously The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
As we all know. It was missing a Will Smith and a giant mechanical spider, says John Peters, jumping up and down on his chair alone in his bedroom.
Okay, so, Sean, Phil, and Chris, you boring, unimaginable, unintelligent film critics.
Hi!
What's something about Wild Wild West that made you want to ride the spider?
Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a euphemism, like ride the lightning. Oh, did you hear about
Ride the
hear
spider.
about Sean? He rode the spider to the all-night Wild Wild West show.
Oh, those One Good Thing boys, they really rode the spider at this episode.
I mean, I guess Phil, you're the one who suggested this.
I inflicted this upon all of you, so I think we'll start at the beginning. I just need to look up on the wiki Wild
West.
On the wiki Wild Wild West.
yeah.
the Wiki Wild Wild Wiki.
Desperado?
Oh, Rough Rider.
Oh, you don't want nada.
None of this.
Six gun in this.
Buffalo Soldier.
Look, it's like I told you.
Now, any damsel that's in distress.
Be out of that dress.
When she meets Jim West,
Roughneck.
go check the law and abide.
Watch your step or flex and get a hole in your
And
side.
swallow your pride.
Don't let your lip react.
Oh, you don't want to see my hand where my hip be at.
With Artemis.
From the start of this.
Running the game?
James West.
Tame in the West.
So remember the name.
Oh, they're going to cut all that.
Cold Open.
Cold open. Very
Cold
cold.
Open. There's a dude. He's running through the woods. He's yelling at no one. He's a madman, he says. A giant spider. I must warn the president.
It's fucking Kevin Smith running away from John Peters.
That's right. That's right. And with that, the tone is set.
Before we move on, I just want to say that this was the first DVD my family ever owned, and we had a DVD drive on my incredibly slow late 90s computer, and so I saw the first 10 seconds of this film about 50 million times as we were trying to get it to work.
the first DVD for a lot of people I know was Gladiator, because they bought
wow.
it to set up
That's much better.
the amazing surround sound and all of that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So I remember like the German battle just playing for about 50 times over in my mind. Oh, to be Paul Salt.
Envy me.
Yes.
It's still not working, Dad. I can't see him running away from the giant spinning sword. Why don't I have kids?
He gets beheaded by a blade, and a looming figure pulls it out of his neck and delivers our first quip of the film.
Oh,
I thought you scientists were supposed to be smart. Credits!
Yeah. Can we point out at this stage that guy turns out to be played by Ted Levine, the killer Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, which, was kind of fucking bizarre for me.
Yeah.
Finding out
Oh.
He's under a heavy
figure
beard,
for-
isn't he?
heavy beard, heavy ear horn.
Nothing actually happens. No one's doing anything. It's just sort of static shots of people. A gun lifts up. There's a wheel. It spins. It's a static shot of a train.
What could it mean?
I know. I don't know. It has to be one of the least exciting credit sequences I've ever seen.
It's apparently it's recreating the TV show, and I should point out, so I didn't say in the intro, this was a TV show called The Wild Wild West.
Yes.
Which was pitched as James Bond meets Western.
So once we slog our way through that, we find ourselves in a water tower with the naked
Eponymous.
West with his a little piece of ass that he is snogging on.
His walking cleavage.
That's right. Until McGrath's boys
Bloodbath.
arrive inopportunely. He falls out and lands on a nice soft surface, and she doesn't somehow.
she
because
gets
of physics.
snagged
Yeah.
on a
She stays
water
up there.
tower.
Yeah.
He falls down, and then where Jim West has a big penis.
Oh.
It's funny because he's black.
Also, I think it's like kind of contractually written into Will Smith's films to
maybe.
make note of his penis size.
He's all naked and he fights some people.
Yeah, and he does that good.
We get the N-word out the way.
We got us a shiny.
Right there.
Yep.
We get half the N-word, and we're like, right,
Oh, yes.
that's what we're doing in regards to the N-word in the
Yep.
19th century.
No more racism in this film.
That's right.
Not at all. Not at all.
We have cured racism.
Get it all out the way up front.
So we're in a saloon, and the baddie that we saw in the cold open, McGrath, is coming on to a likely-looking lady, which is it's a guy. Our second hero, Artemis, fends off a little proposition with a little
Like a Home
extendable-
Alone little contraption.
little contraption. So we get a little counter introduction. Back to the stables where the deal was going down before West, dressed suddenly, gets his punch on. Now, this is the point where I noticed how chivalrous the mooks are in this film. So everybody
Who? Sorry.
how chivalrous the mooks are. So mook chivalry is when baddies line up one by one to fight the goodies.
Right.
If you notice, every time Jim West fights people, they are very orderly. And then a tank lands on the baddie, he catches the girl, and we get, bow, Jim West. He's so cool. The wagon takes off. West does a cool thing. As you're saying, this bit's cool, right?
Yeah.
He does a cool thing. He swings. He lands on the wagon. Oh, it's got explosives in it. Oh, no.
His shirt's half open.
I love that they sexualize Will Smith before they sexualize Salma Hayek. That's progressive for 1999 at least.
And I mean, Salma Hayek is just in a bodice for the next 2 hours, so
That's right.
Yeah.
No
You know.
pants. No dress.
Although Will Smith's line of "This is not how you transport nitro" did make me laugh.
So we've got one giggle from
One
Sean.
giggle.
oh,
Let's tally up those
I'm
giggles.
allowed 4.
That's one.
one.
He can't get the reins, so he leaps on the horses and does some cool cowboy stuff. Cool.
Yeah.
Back to the saloon. We're doing a cool kind of split
Oh, I
scene.
thought we'd
thing
left the
here.
saloon.
No.
I
Get
zoned
back
out.
in there.
Artie uses a special hypno wheel in his bodice to hypnotize McGrath.
In his bodice.
It's right. That's where it is. It's like it's in his boobies. But he's interrupted when West swoops in, punches him out, and hilariously doesn't realize that Artie is a guy in drag.
Yeah.
And while they're conversing, McGrath gets up. Oh no! he screams before running away.
Yeah.
There's more fighting.
More fighting.
More fighting.
More fighting.
Yay!
They fight their way out at the end of the scene.
Yeah, they do. And we reveal that our two protagonists are both here working in official capacity. One's a US Marshal, one's in the US Army, and someone else is here. The villain!
Oh, of course.
Mysterious
Yes.
villain.
The
Not
mysterious
the obvious
villain.
villain.
No.
Yes,
The villain that
Miss
is yet to be named.
Lippenreader.
Miss Lippenreader,
Lippenreader.
who I assumed
mysterious
he was doing a little joke. Haha, Miss Lippenreader. That's
her name.
That's her name.
That's
her
actually
name,
her
yeah.
name.
I have written into my notes the phrase, fuck me, that's contrived, with no indication of what that refers to whatsoever.
Most of the movie, I assume.
Yes, yeah, you may have been an overall note.
Next scene.
We're in Washington now, at the White House. And West has come to meet with the president.
Yeah.
So West walks into the White House, refuses to give up his guns, and pulls his gun on a security detail.
Jim West dead again.
Jim West then is killed and dies. No, they let him go through. It's fine. It's only the president of the United States.
It's only 4 years after the Civil War.
It's over. It's
It's
fine.
only shortly
And,
after Lincoln has presumably been assassinated, so...
That's right.
Great. And in this world, nobody can disguise themselves well enough to be easily mistaken for another person, as now happens.
But this is why we needed a Secret Service, okay?
No, it's Gordon in his amazing disguise.
As himself.
Yeah, it kind of, hey, wrap it up, guys. Meet each other. Let's get on with the plot. So he takes them into his intelligence room, which is off a secret door from the Oval Office.
No contraption. He just pushes it
Pushes
open.
the door. A note has been delivered that says, hey, we've got some cool new technology that's going to make you want to surrender, so you should probably get on surrendering. Also, here is a
You
cake.
should probably get on thwarting us.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, we're up to something.
Yeah, that's right. You've probably got about a week. So
Yeah.
get going. Cake's covered in spiders.
What's the cake made out of?
Marzipan.
Phil, what's the cake is made out of marzipan.
It's made of marzipan.
Do we need, does this come up ever again?
No, but
Great.
Gordon is very keen to tell us that it's made of marzipan.
It's a good insight into his character. He's observant.
This
That's
is
right.
efficient storytelling right there. Yeah.
Oh, we all like marzipan.
That's right, we do.
That's
And
that's.
why it's
I think that's
all
what they
the
call
more
a
of
joke for the
betrayal.
mums.
When the spiders are on it. Yeah, it's such a horror for us when we see spiders on our marzipan cake.
I think it's very. We need to mention that Chris is legitimately an arachnophobe. So this is a particularly awful scene.
Made worse by the marzipan.
He's a terrible arachnophobe and a marzipanophobe.
So the president, Ulysses S. Grant, by the way, is the president. He says, you two, you're working together. You got a week. Go sort this stuff out.
I've got to work with him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have a race for the train. Jim West is on his traditional horse. Gordon has got his fancy motorbike. Penny farthing thing.
Yeah.
His rocket-powered penny farthing.
That's right. And they race for their presidential train, the Wayfarer.
And can we also
The Wanderer, sorry.
The Wanderer.
can we keep a running
Wayfarer's a much
running
better
tab
name.
Yes.
on how many of Artemis's inventions do work quite well, despite what Will Smith will tell you?
Yes.
Yes.
Character is all about, hey, his inventions don't work, but they clearly do.
And
He
twice
has the
saved
ability
his
to
life.
hypnotize literally any person, which he doesn't use again.
Yeah.
That's right. That would be really handy later, wouldn't it?
Oh well.
And then we have a scene of like, back and forth.
Oh,
I don't
God.
like the way you do things. Neither do I. I'm going to punch you.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
we
the punchy
escalate
guy.
from witty banter to he just straight up punches him.
in the face.
Yeah, but it's funny because he set it up in a line, I guess.
That's right. We end up under the train and pulling levers and...
Some fucking how Kevin Kline ends up under there because Will Smith figured out
Pulled
what
a
switch to
lever
pull to
under-
make his...
Also, why did Artemis put the lever down there? He designed the fucking train.
Yeah.
Why does he put a lever under the train that causes someone still inside the train
it was
to
if-
also be...
It was if a bad guy, figured out how to put him underneath the train on the pool table, and then he'd have the last
sat
laugh.
in a specific
Yeah.
chair.
Always 4 steps ahead.
And then we have a man's head.
Ah, yes.
yeah.
Which reveals the most important clue. Somehow.
Oh, fuck me, that's contrived. That'll be it. Yes, he just
That'll
happens
be
to
it.
have the fucking invitation of the place he's going to sticking out of his pocket when he killed the guy.
That's right.
And
Fuck
it's
you, Ted
visible.
Levine.
West says, I'm just going to sneak in as myself. And Artemis says, I'm going to wear these fake boobies. So then we have a great scene
Great scene.
about boobies, about fake boobies.
Lasts about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we talk about
Yeah.
boobies for 5 minutes.
And there's a hilarious joke where the driver of the train thinks that they're actually being gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh, so he vomits. And so do we. So do we, because imagine. And
But it's okay, though, because we know they're not. We know. It's
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, we all go and watch a Serbian film to calm down, and then finally
Oh,
back to Wild
Jason.
Wild West. Yeah.
West sneaks in as he said he would. West meets East.
God.
Oh, it's Bailey.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So yes, he meets Mei Lee East. Remember this character; she'll be very important later
Yeah.
when she dies in the next scene.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
But not before we get to see her butt.
Now she is allowed to die. We've
Yes.
seen her butt.
That's right. Lovelace has his big speech about losing an improbable amount of his anatomy and still being alive.
And let's just say at this stage, Loveless, played by Kenneth Branagh, who, if he had legs,
Yes.
would be wading into this role with abandon.
If he had guts left, they would be full of scenery.
Oh, yes. Fantastic performance.
It's great.
Kenneth Branagh is the only actor in this movie who is well aware of what the tone should be.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, feels like he's
they
doing it on purpose.
If they built the film like around him and where he was going, I think it would make sense. It would be really fun. As it is, it's not. It's not all fun. It's a chore. But that's what we're here for.
Anyway, Loveless bumps into the eponymous West.
Yes, that's right. And we have a bit of banter.
Yeah.
Yay, the funnest banter.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've Googled some race jokes. I've Googled some disablest jokes. Great, let's put them in the script as dialogue.
Now, Paul, can I ask at this stage that you sample them rather than have us say them?
Oh god, yes, don't worry. All fucking 8 lines of dialogue, which are just jokes about each other's perceived shortcomings. Oh god,
Yeah.
now I did one.
Oh,
Shortcomings. Oh.
oh, the humour's a little black. Oh, fuck me.
Oh, Jesus.
Can we
I'm
just,
out
we'll
of
just
here.
play the samples and then we'll play all of us. We'll record all of us going, oh!
Nice of you to join us tonight and add color to these monochromatic proceedings.
Well, when a fella comes back from the dead, I find that an occasion to stand up, be counted.
I haven't seen him in a coon's age.
Well, I can see where it'd be difficult for a man of your stature to keep in touch with even half the people you know.
Well, perhaps the lovely Miss East will keep you from being a slave to your disappointment.
Well, you know, beautiful women, they encourage you one minute and cut the legs out from under you the next.
oh.
You mean laughing?
Will.
What does that even mean?
funny.
He thinks that Gordon's dressed up as a lady. Actually, he's dressed up as a Russian guy.
Russian? No. What? He's Canadian.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Like a Canadian frontiersman.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Canadian Russian. Thank you very much.
So during his little witty banter, he says, "Hey, your boobies are looking good." Call back to their previous discussion about boobies, and gives him a nice drumming on. At which point, everyone gets outraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon suggests that everybody at this lovely highbrow party do a lynching, to which they instantly agree. This is the most polite lynching ever to be depicted on screen. Everyone just sort of orderly walks outside, and when we cut back to this scene a bit later, everyone's just having a nice conversation with their champagne. Yeah, some people have run off to find some torches.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what's a lynching without a bit of atmosphere?
Oh.
Jeff, go get the torch. Oh, sorry. Ooh, Gubbins over here. You know what my mind's like. Oh, yeah.
The
Brilliant.
lynching torches,
Anyway.
I'll go get them.
Well, you know what it's like. You do your first couple of lynchings. It's also visceral and fun and new and, you know.
That's right. Meanwhile, Gordon frees Rita from a giant cage. He takes her with him, and then comes outside to just in the nick of time save West from being hung after a hilarious sequence of improv. Maybe
Yeah.
So,
West is sort of just tries to sort of talk his way out of
Just
it.
Will Smithing his way.
Yeah, he Will Smiths the shit out of that scene, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The whole slavery thing, I don't understand what the big deal was anyway. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want folks running around doing things for them, doing chores? I mean, are you going to get your big fat ass up out of the bed in the morning and pick your own damn cotton? I don't think so.
So cut to a riverbank. The tank, which comes out of the river and shoots all of McGrath's men. I'm not sure if we're meant to feel sympathy or not. And
Well,
lots of people die.
West does.
Yeah.
well, he's more sad because it reminds him of an earlier tragedy, right? Rather than the death of racists. But he's brooding. We can all agree that he's brooding.
He's holding racist Billy in his arms as he dies.
No.
Why? Racist Billy was the only not racist one. That's why his name was...
That's why they called him that.
But yeah, so McGrath is upset. Lovelace shoots McGrath with a reverse wheelchair gun, and that's great.
We've all got one. We've all got one.
That's right. They decide to leave Rita behind and chase Lovelace.
Yes.
But you can't leave her behind because she gets on the train somehow. And then she flirts with everyone and plays them off against each other.
She's a womanly
It's
wild.
cute.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. She uses her boobies and her bum. Here we reach the low point of the film. Our heroes are captured in the sense of narratively.
Oh.
with our heroes at low ebb, captured.
The woman's been taken. Their mode of transport's been taken. All their items and cool things have been taken.
And
The
let's not
baddie.
forget the expositional screaming again by Lovelace through his megaphone as he leaves.
Yeah, the villain taunts them to tell
Just
them
on my
where
way
to
back
go.
to my laboratory, which you'll never find at Spider Canyon. I mean, why did you not check Spider Canyon first for this fucking guy?
He loves fucking spiders. Does he like spiders? Build a lair and then rename the place Spider Canyon?
Or did he go find?
Shopped around.
Did he go find somewhere that was called Spider Canyon and be like, there it is.
He found Insect Gulch. That didn't do.
Arachnid Swamp.
Snake Avenue. Yeah.
It's just not
Too
right.
busy. All wrong.
So the guys are in a nefarious trap where if they step outside the perimeter, something bad will happen. So West obviously does it immediately, and the bad thing happens, which is some improbable physics objects in the shape of blades chase them through the cornfield.
Magic, dear Phil, magic.
There was some magic discs.
They also beat that also with physics. Apparently. Something approaching physics. So they do beat the magnets because
they
of
beat the
very
magnets.
real science.
They're without their mode of transportation. They're trekking across the desert and they have to make camp. And then we get some character development. Jim West says, hey, my parents died at New Liberty and I was raised by Indians. And you're like, oh, wow, okay. I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
That's where he got all of his cool Native American skills.
Traits.
that he uses in this scene and no others.
Time and again.
Gordon's line where he goes, how do you know so much about the desert? And you're like, what? What?
Like what? About a spider?
One thing.
Making a fire.
Making a fire.
Who are you so learned in the ways of science?
You caught a lizard. I've never seen a man do that.
You have mastered fire.
And our heroes have newfound respect for each other.
They refine their train.
That's right. Which leads them to Spider Canyon.
Spider
Which
Canyon.
leads them to
The big spider.
giant spider. The thing that's in all the promotional material. And I think, actually, the effects are not that bad on.
I'm a fan of mechanical.
It's clearly
giant
where most of the
edible spider.
time and effort went.
That's right.
And most of the budget.
Pelting. Pell-mell for the end here. So we're at Promontory Point where the president is joining the Trans-Pacific Railway with its final spike. And we have a fun, over-drawn-out rule of three joke.
The first one of the movie.
So there's a lovely rule of thirds joke.
And a dolly zoom.
And a ton of dolly zooms. Just tons of them. And no one notices an 80-foot giant spider approaching across a flat plane until it's like, I don't know, 100 meters away.
You don't, though. When a giant spider is approaching, you just don't notice
Because you're
it.
not looking for one.
looking for it. You're not thinking, oh, am I going to run into a giant spider today? You're thinking, what am I getting for lunch?
No,
Gotta pick up
that's
milk.
that's a regular spider, just very, very close to me.
That's right. That's right.
It's definitely how every spider feels. There's literally no way we can beat this. But yeah, there is a spider, and it proceeds to blow the fuck out of everything, and President Grant gives no fucks whatsoever that everything around him is being ignited in holy flame.
That's a nice spider you got.
That's a nice spider you got there.
Fine-looking spider you have there.
Yeah.
It's real cash. I like it.
So where the spider blows up that city, like when he's showing President Grant, hey, are you sure you don't want to surrender? And they blow up that western town. When they were shooting that, they started a fire there that got out of control and burnt the majority of that city for real.
Yeah, they burnt the whole set down.
Yeah.
Excellent. The last Wild West town in America. Oh. Damn.
Why did we film on location for that one?
Gordon comes in disguised as the president to try and
Yep.
give the old switcheroo so the president doesn't get captured, and he does. Meanwhile, West tries to sneak on board the spider.
They both fail.
They both fail completely. A net scoops up Gordon and the president. That's what happens. It's just what happens. And then someone just shoots West as soon as he gets on board, and he's dead. That's it.
I believe that was Munitia.
Yes. You need to
Some
shoot
weapons
him
expert.
at point blank range, and a bit of chainmail protects him from all injury, including his 80-foot fall to the ground.
Yeah.
So West dies. He's dead again.
Yeah.
For like the 5th time in this movie.
Jaden Smith comes in and hugs him, and he comes back to life.
That's right. That's right.
The power of Scientology.
Religion. Yeah. It's a metaphor for something. And then they're in another place. And
The fortress. He takes them back to his fortress.
Branner's laying out
His plan.
Which is not a bad,
It's not
not
an
an
awful
awful plan.
He's going to divide up the states and give back all the original kind of colonial claims back to the European powers and claim a bit for himself.
Yeah.
It'd have been really great if the Prime Minister of Britain, after he said, we're going to return the 13 colonies to Great Britain, he just stood up and said, we really can't afford to police that. It's getting on for the 19th century now. Empire is purely just like a token thing that we do. Really, please, sweet God, we cannot handle this. Please, I give this whole thing like 100 more years max. Please.
No, but with true British confidence, we said yes, rightly ours.
A deal
Great,
with this
best country in the world.
obvious lunatic is a perfect idea.
Safe bet.
The man whose flag is a spider is a safe bet.
No, his flag is a spider on top of the Confederate flag.
I apologize.
Just in case you didn't get that we're evil.
This is Kenneth Branagh's best scene. He's having so much fun here. Spinning round and around, and
That's all he can do.
that's right, he spins round and around, and gives the accent a full go. Unlike me.
Now my favourite character comes in.
And just as he's about to force President Grant to sign the surrender,
Oh, sweet Jesus.
who should come in?
Pauls.
But Ebonia?
Ebonea.
Ebonia?
Oh,
The black dancing girl?
Well.
Not at
well
all
then.
suspicious.
Well then. Ebonea. That's the name we're going with.
That's the one we went with.
makes sense. And they just fucking pause everything. It's like, excuse me, leaders of state. There's a dancing girl here I've not seen before.
That's right.
Such a surreal sequence.
Like, I get the idea that maybe he wants to celebrate. Like, they write that in instead, right? Where he goes, I have won the day. Now I will celebrate with a lovely dancing girl.
Yeah.
But no, she just turns up.
Anyway, let's get back to the real sort of serious, the serious tone of this movie. So Will Smith shoots fire out of his breasts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Will Smith. Anyone watching along and who didn't realise, oh my God, what a good disguise. It was Will Smith all along. With flamethrower boobies.
No way.
Loveless escapes again. Rita escapes with Escobar,
Yeah.
the thing that she's been after all along.
The thing.
So she's done her thing. Well done, her.
I didn't even fucking notice that was her out of the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
She just goes, bye guys. She
Exit.
just says, bye, thanks.
You'll be good with each other. Bye.
That big action third act, she's not a part of at
No.
all.
No, she's not. Holy shit.
Well, she's a woman. Women can't do action.
It is combat time. It is not woman time. It's not feelings time.
It's munitions time.
That's right.
Test audiences agree with that because apparently they found that it was weird that Smith and Klein were just fighting Loveless's ladies. Loveless's Ladies. Open now on the South Bank.
Oh, right.
Oh, and that's why there are men.
That's why there
they-
are random
Mr.
men we've never seen
Cyborg Man?
before. The guy for Judge Dredd shows up.
Holy shit, that
scene
makes
was, like,
sense.
shoved
Oh
in.
my
Okay.
god.
And then I have a question for you.
Yes.
How does the last mook,
Die.
the little mook,
Cyborg Mook.
What the fuck happens? I never got it. I thought as a kid maybe somehow he electrified the spanner he hands him or something, but like...
but there's no electricity in this film.
And surely
It's all
he
steam-powered.
knows. Like, he should know that if that spanner, or whatever it is, if that's detrimental to his living capability, maybe he shouldn't
I think
grab
it's
it.
just...
But he just, there are sparks.
Is it just a Mitt Romney thing? He can't lift his arms over a certain height, and that was that. He was a war veteran.
That's right. Just
It's the whole angle
Clearly.
thing.
Or was he just the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz?
The film saved him.
Lovelace decides he has to do it himself. He drops down to fight West. His wheels don't work, so he activates his spider legs and starts stomping on West's face. Gordon has his hidden derringer and shoots the hydraulics on the legs and
Yeah, he does.
saves the day.
Then he kills two women.
West does a bit of gloating. Yes, he kills two women.
The president straight up shoots Amazonia, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bang. Gone.
Well, I like that sentence. Yeah. The president shoots Amazonia.
That's a good one. West does a bit of gloating while Lovelace makes a break for his wheelchair with its reverse guns.
Which are now forward.
Yeah, why not let Lovelace go to the contraption that
to
can
his
kill him?
Yeah, just let him. I'm sure he's got nothing
What?
on there
Loveless?
that might help him get
So
away.
West should have just quickly run up and started pummeling him to death, crying and screaming as he does it. Fucking die, please!
So he does make it back to his chair. He shoots his guns. Will Smith dodges them. They hit two steam pipes, which stops the spider going over the edge of a giant cliff. Lovelace and West are dangling perilously over a chasm.
I can hardly contain it.
They still quip about their shortcomings.
Yes, and they make more of the same jokes. Lovelace threatens to send them both to their deaths. West says, "I'll do it." So he says, "Okay, do it." He says, "I'll do it."
He does it then, doesn't he?
So he just does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
That's all there is.
And then, so Lovelace falls to his death, and Will Smith
Hangs from a dead man.
hangs from a dead man to deliver his final quip.
Which is not very good.
It's not a good quip. What does he say?
Now that's a whoopin'.
That's
Oh, yeah.
That's a
right.
whooping.
That's a whooping.
See, that was set up and payoff because he said, that was rule of thirds. Like, he's going to get a whooping. Someone promised me a whooping. I didn't get a whooping. Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
it's a
whooping.
whooping.
It's
But
not
it's
though, is it?
Brilliant.
It's
It's a falling.
It's a fall to your death. Now that's
It's
a falling
awful.
to your death.
Yeah.
Rita was actually rescuing her husband all along, was leading the boys on. President starts the Secret Service. These are Agents 1 and 2. He takes their train, forcing them to ride the spider into the sunset.
Which they've now learned how to work.
Yeah.
By
The
the
final
fixed it.
song plays. The song that we all wanted to hear.
Yes,
And
The
then
film ends.
By Lamos, by Enrique Iglesias.
We all wish for death.
that's right. And this film, this is I think an hour and 50
Yeah.
minutes of what could have been a nice hour and a bit adventure romp.
Why couldn't it have been Surf Ninjas level? Like Surf Ninjas, just
I mean,
in and out.
there's
In and
such-
out. Don't
There's
overstay
such
your
an
welcome.
easy edit to make. The point where they see the giant spider and it rides off towards town, just fucking go and fight the giant spider. Why do you have to have two sequences of them going from the train to the spider? You could have cut about 15 minutes of movie there and had this down to 90.
Yes.
yeah, in contriving that extra action, it was just
Yeah.
You see it veering in the wrong direction from a mile off, and it was just painful to see.
So, what should this movie have been?
Written by one person.
Written by one person would be good.
Yes. It should be.
It should have been the TV
Campy.
series.
Yes.
It should have been funny.
Right.
Is what it bloody well should have been.
What happened is, after we watched the movie for the second time, we started looking at the TV series because we got onto what are the differences between them? We got into the TV show.
Yeah, this was just a little compilation of hey, didn't this old TV show have great villains? And it does. They're very colourful, eccentric villains.
They lean into the magic.
Yeah, who make things appear in their hands out of nowhere.
It's
and
not steampunky. It's not as much. It's more like kind of mythical and
very colourful.
All the costumes are greys and browns and blacks, which is super boring when it's a film inspired by a TV show inspired by James Bond circa 1960, 1970, which is all about colour and fun and kind of campy
you know what?
stuff.
It sounds exactly like The Avengers, where they decided, okay, we're going to take this very over-the-top psychedelic show and make it sort of very boringly realistic.
The 90s went through this really weird period of like harkening back to like 60s, 70s, 50s TV, but giving it that sort of
gritty
Vaseline sheen of the 90s.
But sometimes
it's edgy.
Sometimes it works.
Forced fun.
Yeah.
Batman, the Nolan Batman, is that. You know, you're coming off the kind of camp.
Oh God,
Batman.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not saying taking, silly concepts seriously is a bad thing. It's just they don't inject any. There's no substance to this. I mean, every so often, there's the occasional hint towards referencing the problems it has. Like the whole thing about Rita actually having a husband is interesting because it's like, you guys would never have let me come with you or shown me any interest if you knew I wasn't available to you sexually.
Yes.
That's kind of what's being said, and that's interesting because it's like, oh yeah, maybe we're dicks. Yeah. Because it's kind of that realization in Kevin Kline's voice when he's like, oh, that's not true, Rita. But, like, he knows it's true.
But then they'd have had to write dialogue for that, you see. And,
that's right.
It's much easier just to include that in a line at the end of the film and not dwell on it at all.
This film could also have been a proper buddy film, right? Where the two of them learn to complement each other with their various skills, right?
It's all Will Smith's decision is the thing. He's the one driving the film at all times. So when he says, Artie, we're not doing your thing, that's the last word. And then at the end, it's like, Artie, let's do your thing. He always has to be right, but also disagreeing with Artie.
The Jim West that is in the beginning of the film is the exact same Jim West at the end of the film. There is no character arc. There is no learning. He's the same damn guy.
Which is fine if we aren't expecting him to do that. Like, James Bond doesn't evolve from beginning to end. Like, there's no character growth in a James Bond film. So that's fine if it's a pure action kind of adventure sort of thing where our protagonist doesn't grow and learn because they're great.
Well, that's the thing, is there's no friendship here apart from the scene by the fireside, which I quite liked. That where they actually talk about, Jim West past and stuff, and there's a bit of a connection between them. You never get the idea these guys actually like each other.
I think there is, but it's horrible because we're looking back on it. So all the things where all the scenes where they're looking at women and objectifying women, those are bonding moments. Those are 90s bonding moments when they say arse instead of but that's them becoming buddies and friends.
There are script tweaks, like Chris suggested that when they are testing the flying machine, and Artemis is like, shit, it's not going to work. Maybe West goes, you need to be bolder. You need to use your instinct like me.
Okay.
And then it's his suggestion to be bold that makes them dive off the cliff.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of their two approaches that they can finally save the day.
You
they
really
never
should
get
have
that,
you should have
synthesis.
more. You should have more of the characters rubbing off on each other, utilizing each other's strengths, and that's where the bonding come from.
All right, so there's very little character out. The friendship isn't that compelling, and there's not much of a heart to the thing.
And the pacing is awful.
Oh, the pacing's terrible. Yes, it fucking drags like a son of a bitch. But it's a 90s movie, guys. I came here because Burger King told me that there would be some great action. So how's that action for you?
Dreadful.
Oh, not great.
Yeah.
Jim West attempts... I saw one fly kick. Jim West does a roundhouse fly kick in a long shot. And he also does
that in the brothel, right? In the brothel fight. Yeah.
A very awkward roundhouse.
The great tragedy is that the fight scenes get progressively worse.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, they get just awful.
Woo! That was fun. Which one of you boys wants to strip down and go next?
The stakes are high-ish. They have guns. He's naked and defenseless. Great. These are kind of big stakes.
Action comedy.
Yeah, action comedy. But then we get them running through cornfields going, woo, as they run through.
Oh, God,
Woo! Yeah, they do make the oddest noises, don't they? Yeah. And then everything with the spider takes it so far beyond the pale. And that final fight scene where he has to fight the four metal dudes, just none of it feels grounded at all. And to go from that early feeling of like, oh yeah, this is just a bit of fun, to that is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, and I think the family-orientated nature of the film, in spite of all the sort of breast and ass jokes and the racism and all the rest of it, but the action is very family movie. Consequently, Smith is actually really good with his gun. Like, he looks good when he's doing the quick draw and he's doing his... You know, the scene where he shoots all the guys from the painting is edited to fuck,
it's
but
a good,
he's clearly
it's a
got
great
skills.
scene.
He has got a lot of gunplay that they make efforts to draw attention to.
Yes, but it's a family movie, so you can only have, like... I think apart from that, does he ever shoot anyone else? He reaches for his gun when the girl falls into his arm, and I even remember thinking, God, that looked good, the way he reached for his gun there. He sort of slid his hand down his belt, and it's like, oh, that was cool, but then just came up and grabbed the girl without even looking. That was cool.
No, he is an action star. You know, he's proved his worth in certain films. You know, his Men in Black wasn't long.
Bad
was
Boys.
It before this?
No, it's like 3 years.
Bad Boys, and it's he's got it. He's got the physicality. He's holds himself well for it. But I mean, editing wasn't great in this film.
My favourite moment of editing.
Not great, and the script is flaccid. So he's trying really hard, but there's nothing to elevate him.
But my favourite moment of terrible editing is just when they're in the train and the cannon train is now behind them, and it's just directly behind them. The cannon fires. We cut to a shot of the train going around a corner, and that's why the cannon doesn't hit them. And then when you cut back to the rear, the internal shot, the train is still just behind them, and there is no corner.
No.
Yeah, and
that to me just says we don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
No.
it's not a nitpick.
Who even gives
It's
a
not
shit?
a nitpick. It's super obvious.
There are several times throughout this
So
film
obvious.
where we sat there and went, there was most likely a scene missing here. An entire scene was most likely cut out, and so the edit is just jarring as all hell.
Yeah.
The edit feels as though a producer's edited it, right? So it there are clearly moments where it feels edited by committee, like the DC Universe kind of films feel now.
They get away with so much. I mean, there are so many sort of weird race puns and jokes and belittlement here. But it's kind of made okay because it's always the bad guys who are doing it. You know, it's always Loveless who's making these jokes. But they're played for laughs, is the thing.
The thing that sticks out for me is the men in drag are funny.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything with it apart from put them on
Have them
screen
there.
and go, ha ha ha.
And there's
that
your
just
film.
feels like a really kind of, it just feels like a really late 80s, early 90s kind of sensibility that it's lazy. They didn't move past that and do anything with it.
Yeah. So it's a pretty lazy film that's very shoddily made with a lot of problematic stuff in it. The question is, can we find some good things in there? Are we okay to quickfire? Did anyone else?
You bet. I particularly like the Kevin Kline line when he's talking about Salma Hayek and he's going, my God, the curvature of her buttocks and the swell of that magnificent bosom, so full, so sumptuous, so... What were all those foreign ministers doing at Lovelace's party? You know, when he notices that Salma Hayek's in the train with him. That was
It's very
good
seamless. It's
delivery.
beautiful. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going with it. The song. I thought I would hate this song in 2018. I do not. I can quote every line, and it's tremendous. I love that you can take a Stevie Wonder track, add a hip-hop chorus from the 1980s, and then put Will Smith on it. Straight fire.
That's what Will Smith did in the 90s.
No stopping him.
I think the one thing that's not lazy about this film is the talent. I think the people who are cast in it give it a really red hot go.
Sure.
And there's not a sort of a tiredness or a laziness that you see in it, like an Adam Sandler movie, where the people in it clearly just want to get out of it. The people, Will Smith's having a ball in particular, and that's a really good thing, is to see Will Smith like having fun. I really like it.
Yeah.
The special effects are really good for the time.
Okay.
They're pretty solid. The spider mechanism, especially the mechanical legs.
Yeah.
With the exception of some green screen shots.
Yes.
Right?
Well, okay, so there's the horrible green screen aside, which I think is out of they burnt down their locations rather than a need for green screen.
And the arrow through the train looked atrocious.
The arrow through the
But
train.
other
But
than that, you're right.
the mechanical spider itself
Yes.
I buy it.
looks quite good.
Yeah.
And the tank as well, the parts that are mechanized that are special effects, look quite good. And even the saws buzzing through the air, they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the destruction of the town looks great, where everything's just blowing up, and, probably because they did blow up this entire fucking town, and quite irresponsibly so as well, it seems. Right, my favourite Will Smith scene in this, rather unsettlingly, is the scene where he's talking himself out of being lynched. They've got him on this sort of weird pedestal, and they've got the rope hanging next to him. And like we said, it is just pure kind of Will Smith putting his charm on, because he spends most of the film kind of angry and just shutting people down and calling people stupid and, stuff like that. So here he's just full on charm. There's a couple of really funny lines.
Now, in my native land, Georgia, Africa.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's such an amicable bunch of racists is the thing. They're all, as he's saying stuff, it cuts to them sort of considering, like, oh yeah, he's got a point there. Yeah.
And one of them encourages him. He's like, he gets a bit stuck. Oh, I can't think of anything for neck. And the guy's like, come on, you can do it, man.
I think it says, like, that's okay, or something like that.
We don't mind.
It was kind of goofy, and I quite like that. And I just like the fact that he almost won them over.
I think Kenneth Branagh was excellent.
35 feet of small intestine, and our ability to reproduce all in the name of the South? Do we ever lose our sense of humor?
He, like you said earlier, he knew exactly what he was doing, what he was getting himself in for with this film, and he just had a fucking ball. There's so many of his lines and his face is just perfect. It made me
you
think
can almost
a bit
freeze
of,
frame anything he does, right?
Absolutely, and particularly the one that sticks in my mind is
Mikasa I Sukasa. That comes Shivu. Let the party begin.
But easily the best performance. Will Smith looks cool, and Kevin Kline had his sort of well-spoken moments, but for me it's all about the Branagh.
Yeah.
I enjoy Kevin Kline as President Grant. Not only does he have a striking similarity to Grant, look up his photo. It's uncanny. Yeah. I enjoy his design in particular, and it's just weird that they felt the need to have Kevin Kline play both Artemis and the president.
Was this before or after the one?
Disguise,
Was this before or after the other time he did that? Was it Dave or something?
Yeah, okay. It is Kevin Kline. Yeah,
Yeah, this was after Dave.
So maybe it's a reference to that? I don't know.
I think it's them pulling... Maybe he feels as though he's going to be the next, I don't know...
Ben Kingsley?
Yeah, maybe.
This may be a bit broad, but I feel like there is a good movie hiding underneath this movie somewhere. That if, in an alternate universe, there is a Wild Wild West that is tighter and leans in way harder to these aspects.
Yep.
And so what I mean by that is that it's not a terrible idea. The whole idea for the movie of like an inventor and a cowboy solve crimes in a steampunk Wild West. That sounds great.
Yeah. There's a way to make that
wonderful.
work. Definitely.
It's a wonderful idea. And I wish it had been maybe more of a singular vision from someone and had kind of realised that potential. But it doesn't stop me kind of like enjoying that such an idea
exists.
Yeah, and we got part of the way there.
Cool. In an alternate reality, there is also a tighter version of all of us. Got that to look forward to.
So, special mention to the spider boobs, the costumes at the end. Ellen, who couldn't be on the episode, was keen for me to mention that.
Okay.
She is a big fan of that. The spider webbing on the
sort
bodices.
of lapels, right? The bodices of the lady's dress
are
positioned such that there's a spider web delicately over each boob.
Delicately is
pushing it.
Maybe not the right word.
Precisely.
Yeah, but I also love Lovelace's plan of dividing up America. It's a really succinct way of dividing up America.
Yeah.
I quite like it. It's a good business plan.
Sense.
It's good politics right there. That's smart. Maybe he should have won the war.
Okay, I want to highlight some of the production and costume design. Jim West's fucking suit looked great.
Yes.
And the only other part of the production I wanted to highlight is the fact that the train looked good.
The sets in general are quite good.
Yeah.
I like the
Agreed.
internals of the Lovelace's fortress. The White House.
The opening in as well.
Yeah.
I will say that all the wides feel very, very small. I mean, considering there's a moment where they actually go to New Orleans, like during the West, it just, any exterior shots feel like they've been shot in the same little shanty town that they had access to.
Absolutely. I'm going to compile three my favourite Will Smith moments then into one sentence. He has very sensual eyes, as Eboniah. I got lost in those eyes. They were magical. And there are two moments of violence. There are a couple of goons in the spider that kick Will Smith so hard up the arse he soars through the air, and that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's one other bit where just as he's leaving the room in the brothel, someone clocks him from stage left as soon as he comes out the door, and it's such a good scene entrance. Some good moments.
So you just like him
Excellent.
getting hit.
It does seem that way in hindsight. Damn.
Oh dear. Sean.
I've got two Will Smithisms, two very Will Smith moments
okay.
that made me chuckle. So I have to mention them. The first is, as I said earlier, is he unveils the nitro, and he, in his quite distressful, yells out, "This is not how you transport nitro," which I particularly liked. And then in the third act, we have Will Smith fighting Cyborg Man. Clocks him once in the head, hurts his hand. Clocks him once in the chest, hurts his hand. Kicks him in the crotch, hurts his leg, looks at the crotch, and just goes, "No!" And I love it.
Got you
Phil and
giggling.
Chris do not.
I kind of like this when they lean into some of the silliness. McGrath taking the word doggy as being the most prominent part of that instruction. Where are you going to be a nice little doggy and tell me what I want to know? Woof. It's like, oh, whoops. And that's funny. It's silly. Whenever the film can get silly, that's when I like it.
I quite liked how Will Smith got to do quite a lot of gunplay, and he's not too bad at it.
Yeah.
He's pretty handy with a pistol. He spins it around, he threatens people with it, pops it away, and he maintains the charisma required for that. So that we don't think he's a gigantic dickhead at this point.
At that point,
it's playful, and that's good.
Yeah, I really love the shot where the guy's like, "You need to hand over your pistol," and he's like, "Oh, what, that one?" And then he reaches behind that pistol and pulls out a second one. It's like, "What about that one?"
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that was quick.
And it's fun and charming and endearing. You know, it's lovely.
I like his little sunglasses.
Yeah.
And after,
These are cool little sunglasses.
And this is a note that Sean pointed out, is that after they get captured, when Loveless is driving away on their train, he's wearing Will Smith's sunglasses.
Yeah, he's wearing the little red circular spectacles.
As his little extra, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, my final one then is, in spite of the way the film treats women and sort of has women in its world, some of them do get to have a bit of fun. Musetta Vander, Sindel to true fans, playing Munitia. She was having fun, I think. And in spite of the fact most of her role is just stand around wearing corset, she has this great smile, this sort of evil smirk that I think she's gotten a bit typecast for, because she was also in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, also as the sort of siren figure with that sort of evil smile. But I think she was enjoying herself, and there's a couple of moments that look like they were fun for Salma Hayek to shoot. In particular, one shot where the train is stopped and they have to fall, and it's interrupted by an insert shot of her picking up the cue ball, but you can tell it's one shot the way it was filmed. They have to roll around as if they've just, been on a train that was forced to stop, then quickly stand, grab the ball whilst speaking, and run into cupboard. And just the energy she put into it, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I like the concern of her character in that moment of when she first boards that train as well, where she's like, gets on board, and then she sees a plate of food, and then that is all her character gives a shit about that moment, is stuffing her face. And she's just like, okay, cool, guys. Nom, nom, nom. And she just genuinely looks like she's having fun on set doing that.
Yeah, and I like the conceit that maybe she just knew how to play these guys. And that, all that sort of sex and, creepiness was actually deliberate on her part, including leaving that trapdoor open on the sort of pajamas she was wearing. All deliberate on her part in order to keep herself involved in these terrible guys.
And I do think that was the case, but they didn't go far enough to sort of cement that. it just felt incidental, didn't it?
They had her putting her charms on Loveless as well once she was recaptured,
Yeah.
sort of saying, I knew they would lead me back to you. And it's like, but...
Steer more into that rather
Yeah.
than just leave
Yeah.
it be.
Definitely.
Agreed.
It's like one other gag just related to that came to mind was Kevin Kline at the window watching her sort of as the train pulls away, and then it moves past that window and reveals that he's in the very next window in a different pose. That made me smile. I think we're done quick firing about Wild Wild West. Now, we're going to talk about the one better thing. The one better thing.
What can we say about Wild Wild West? Well, the film is set in the American West in the 19th century, and it's a juxtaposition of a Western with action sequences. It has elements of the comedy and the buddy cop film genre, and it's two men of differing personalities and ethnicities who team up to stop a crime. What I've also just described to you is Shanghai Noon, the film from 2000 that stars Jackie Chan, Owen Wilson, and Lucy Liu. I think it's a film that does a lot of what Wild West tried to do with a lot more fun, a lot more chemistry between Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, and much less cringy moments. And it's just pure fun of the 90s.
It's got way better energy and thrust.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And a much more likable lead in Jackie Chan.
Yeah. I really like that the synopsis works for both films.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Phil.
So look, I have to confess, I haven't watched that much, just sort of scenes and bits that are on YouTube. But I think the Wild Wild West, the TV show, is well worth checking out. It looks great. It looks like 60s campy fun, and I was dying to go check out more. So I think the listeners should too.
Yeah, it sounds good. Cool. Chris?
A film adapted to a feature length based on a 70s, 60s TV show, Starsky and Hutch. A buddy cop film, successfully rebooted, and does a really good homage to the original series, includes the performers from the original film in it, so you know that they were on board with it. It's a lot fun. It's a lot more fun. The characters learn from each other, and comedy is handled way better. 2003 from the top of my head.
And also has Owen Wilson in it.
2004, yeah, Owen Wilson. And
Two Owen Wilson recommendations.
there you go.
Cool.
Okay, so I was thinking about buddy movies, and then I thought maybe how about Seven Buddies, specifically Antoine Fuqua's 2016 Magnificent Seven. But I do think I've already recommended this when we did the Ridiculous Six
Think so,
episode.
yeah.
So instead of that, I'm recommending Unforgiven.
Oh my god.
That laugh riot.
It's the ultimate buddy movie, directed by Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, all cowboys in their way past the halcyon days. It's all about how the life of killing and law breaking has caught up with them and broken them in ways that they can't possibly explain as men of the West. Very, very, very grim, gritty storyline. Absolutely nothing like Wild Wild West, but watch it anyway. I also watched Magnificent Seven, but I didn't want to come up with something that I've already done.
You could go and watch Seven Samurai.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I'm pretty sure I recommended that just by dint of recommending Magnificent Seven in the Ridiculous Six episode. So,
Okay.
all of those.
I'm going out on a limb a little bit with mine, because I haven't watched it since I was a teenager, but I remember it being substantially better. So originally...
Surf Ninjas.
It is Surf Ninjas. Originally, the Wild Wild West was being worked on by Shane Black, writer of Great Things, and Richard Donner, director of Great Things. And it was going to star Mel Gibson as Jim West. That movie didn't happen.
Yeah, I heard that.
That movie didn't happen, but instead it became the 1994 Richard Donner movie Maverick, except without Shane Black writing. It's William Goldman writing it. And I remember really liking this film. It's... basically, a whole bunch of cowboys need to buy into a very high-stakes poker game, and the money's sort of constantly changing hands, they're constantly betraying each other. It's got Jodie Foster as a kind of Salma Hayek-like character in this, who's, trying to charm the guys and trying to, use her wiles, but she's so treacherous, is the thing, and she's so sort of just manipulative of the others. You never know what side she's on. So she's kind of interesting in that way and exciting. I remember there being some fun action. I hope there's no sort of sexism and racism that I didn't get as a kid and I'm now recommending to everyone. You never know with the 90s, and Mel Gibson. But I remember good feelings about it, so I recommend it to myself, if no one else. Cool, that was the one better thing. The one better thing. Right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to One Good Thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Baby Bit Boys, where can we hear more of your stuff? Tell our grateful listeners.
Yeah, sure. So first, you can find us on Spreaker, on Stitcher, and on SoundCloud still.
iTunes as well.
And otherwise, if you want to get in contact with us, babybeardmedia@gmail.com.
We're also on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram.
If you do check out any of our stuff, we have a little YouTube channel as well. It's
we
just
do.
getting going. If you like any of our stuff, please leave a little rating, a little review. Any feedback is really warmly appreciated.
So that's Shut Up and Take My Podcast and the Imaginauts.
Correct.
Do check out the Imaginauts as well. It's I've been having a lot of fun listening to that. Really, really good, really interesting stuff. That's a warning, everyone. Get in touch.
Thank you.
Wiki wild warning. And you can wiki get in touch with us at OGT Pods on Twitter, Facebook /OGT Pods, ogtpod@gmail.com. Do all the things, like, rate, subscribe, and yeah, we will speak to you really, really soon.
Speak soon. Lots of love. Bye.
That's right.
I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Paul Goodman.
I'm Sean.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Chris.
And remember, the one good thing about the Wild Wild West are those few moments where you remember that Will Smith's actually in it.
Don't you just hate that song?